You know what? I want to do the airplane story.
Okay. The one we would love to hear from Fester on.
Yeah, I wish Fester were here, but I can't wait a week to do the story. And then we got to get into the Britney Spears item because the Britney Spears story is absolutely crazy. So the airplane, I've got like 3 airplane stories today, one involving a celebrity. And listen, it doesn't matter who you are. If you pull this crap, it's not going to end well. The first item, though, is the airplane seat changing story where the person was seat shamed because they were sandwiched. So here's the story, and this turned up on Reddit, the Reddit forum, Am I the Bleep Hole? And it had to do with a teenage traveler. So a teenager on a commercial flight has been shredded online, has been called fat phobic after the teenager, a young woman, asked to be switched because she was in the middle seat, sandwiched in between 2 very large passengers. So what do you do in this situation? If you have a very large person in the window seat, you have a very large person in the aisle seat, and you got spillover from both sides. And, you got the larger person hanging over on both sides of this middle seat person, and they're leaking over, they're spilling over. What do you do?
I've been in that position before, and I just call it cozy. You're just like sandwich. It's like, then you don't even have to.
You're all warmed up by their body heat.
Yeah.
Until they start leaking on you. Sweating.
But what do you, we ought to go to phones on this. So let me give you the details, and let me see if my phones are working. Hold on. Let me just pick an empty line. Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. I got dial tone. Yay. Oh, my God. It's the best sound I've ever heard in my life. Oh, my God. Man, I was about to melt down a few minutes ago. All right. So anyway, here's the story. Teenagers in the middle seat, 2 very large passengers on either end in the aisle and the window seat. And the passenger in the middle asked to be moved to a different seat. And this is a 19-year-old young woman, and she has been fat shamed. This happened on a flight from Las Vegas to New York. The 19-year-old says, my assigned seat was a middle seat, and both people next to me were plus-sized. I wouldn't have any problem with this in any other situation, but plane seats are terribly small, and neither of my neighbors were able to fit comfortably into their seats. She said that her seatmates seemingly spilled into her chair with their thighs and shoulders on top of her, which was especially uncomfortable given that it was a very long flight. Well, listen, Vegas to New York, that's 4.5, 5 hours, So what do you do? I mean, and this woman, she has been called, like an awful human being. She's been accused of fat shaming. How dare you? You entitled little. So what do you do in this situation? If you're able to be moved and you're in the middle seat and you're sandwiched between 2 large passengers, should you say something? Or should you just suck it up and be kind of like wedged for a 4.5 hour, 5 hour flight from Vegas to New York?
So she can get another seat somewhere else? That's an option? There's an empty seat somewhere else?
Well, that was the point. She asked to be moved, so there were other seats available on the airplane.
Yeah, and I think if you want to be moved, then you can just say in a nice way to even your seatmates, like, oh, look, there's some empty seats. I'm going to give everybody some room. Act like you're helping the situation. You don't have to be rude about it.
So she has been dubbed fat phobic. Let me go to phones on this. Folks, what are your thoughts here? What do you do? Is it acceptable for someone if they're wedged in the middle seat between 2 very large passengers? Is it acceptable to say, hey, can I find a different seat? Let's hit some phones on this. 800, watch the phones won't work when I try to go to phones. Let's go. Let's go. 800-990-1047. 800-990-1047. What do you do in this situation? What's acceptable? Should she have been called fat phobic and fat shamed, essentially, because she wanted to move. All right, let's go to calls. Andrew's screening calls right now. I want to get your take on this. 800-990-1047. That's 800-990-1047. That's how you get on. Lines are ringing. Andrew is screening right now. Acceptable or unacceptable? Do you have another option? Do you have another suggestion of what could have been done? Listen, if you're sandwiched, then I mean, what's the other option? I mean, you can't shrink the passengers next to you.
You deal with it. What are you talking about?
Well, that's the question. Should she have dealt with it, or was she in her own right to ask to look? If every line is jammed here. All right, if you're ringing in right now, just wait. Andrew will get to the calls as quickly as possible to screen them. 800-990-1047. Hey, let me just put these on hold. They're all ringing here, and they're answering calls. I'm just putting a bunch on hold. All right, so if you're on hold, hang on. You'll get screened in a minute. All right, so 800-990-1047. What do you do in this matter? So before I go to calls, a little more here. So she got moved, and when she got off the plane, one of the original overweight roommates was waiting for her and then gave her a tongue lashing for moving.
Okay, now that's like bullying.
Well, that's bullying, or it's like a little stalkerish, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're for 4.5 hours, you're seething and you're waiting for the woman to get off the flight, the 19-year-old girl that moved, and then they yell at her about being fat phobic and moving. The teen says she did not mean to come across as insensitive. She claims that the overweight passenger that was waiting for her on the jet bridge said, how dare you move? Here's the quote. She essentially told me that I had embarrassed her and the other man, and that traveling while plus size is hard enough without people treating fatness like a contagious disease. She also said that I made it a public demonstration to everyone that plus size passengers are an inconvenience, and open the door to fat phobia on flights. So again, what do you do? Should you be required to be wedged between two heavier people? They're no less of a human being. Actually, a little more. But listen, you know what I'm saying? No one's less of a human being. You know what I'm saying. But should you, if there are other seats, should you be required to be wedged for a 4.5 hour flight?
Okay, if I'm sitting in a middle seat and I'm between two average-sized people and I see a window seat is available, I'm going to ask that I be moved to that window seat for comfort. It has nothing to do with anything, because nothing to do with the size of the people sitting next to me. So if there's a better seat available and it's not going to inconvenience anyone else and make everybody happy, why not move?
Let's go to phones. We'll say hi to Bruce in Seminole. Bruce, you're on the MJ Morning Show. First up on this. What's your take, Bruce?
Yeah, good morning. I just like to make comment. I'm a very large man myself. I'm 7 foot tall and I weigh.
Whoa, hold on a minute. You're 7 feet tall?
I'm 7 foot tall and I weigh 498 pounds. Correct.
Oh my God! Wow.
Sure, you're a giant.
But I am not big belly. I carry it well. I'm thick.
Well, I tell you what, being on a plane is going to be so hard for you in general, because there just isn't the leg room for a 7 foot tall person.
Dude, can you fly coach, or do you have to fly like business or first?
Oh no. What I do is when they offer other seats for sale before you board, like first class for $100 or $200, I always buy one just because of my size, or I try to get up in the front row there. I can't trying to think what that row's called, but
you mean the exit row or the bulkhead?
Yeah, the bulkhead.
Bulkhead,
yeah. Very first row.
Yeah.
And then when they tell me to seat buckle up, it's kind of hard for me to seat buckle up. But when they give me an extension, they said they can't because it's against FAA regulations.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So let me ask you a question. 7 feet tall. What did you do for a living?
Right now I'm retired and I used to work for Coca-Cola.
Wow. So basketball NBA was never an option?
Well, no.
Don't tell me you suck at basketball.
I did try wrestling at one time.
Oh, nice.
Wow. So 7 feet tall and nearly 500 pounds.
Yes, sir. I'm 498. Don't push it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 2 pounds away.
No, you got to take it to 500. So like
Wow.
a carnival freak show.
Bruce, that is unbelievable. What kind of car do you drive? What do you fit into?
I drive a big Dodge 1500.
A Ram, and you have the seat all the way back?
All the way back.
And is it enough, or are you still all cramped in there like Magilla Gorilla?
Oh, no. I got the big truck. I got enough room.
Okay, all right. All right, Bruce, thanks, buddy. Thanks for calling in.
No problem.
Wow, 7 feet, 498? Carmela, it's Tony's wife, Froggy.
Hey, Carm.
Yeah, Carmela calling in from Brandon. Hey, Carmela, you're on the MJ Morning Show. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Good morning.
We are well.
Good. I don't think that she did anything wrong. I think, I'm going to piggyback off what Roxanne said. I think it was just a matter of comfort. I don't think she did that to shame anybody or offend anybody. However, if it were me, I would have definitely verified after we took off and that there was an open seat that nobody was sitting in. And then I probably would have gotten up and went back and asked the stewards if I could possibly sit in another seat. That way, it wouldn't have brought attention to the larger people that were sitting beside her. I probably would have done it that way.
Yeah, just take off, and when the seatbelt sign goes off, you just hey, got to go to the bathroom, and then you never come back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Carmela. Appreciate it. Say hi to AJ in the Meadow for me. All right, Mindy is in Riverview. Mindy, MJ Morning Show, you're up. Hi.
Good morning.
All right, so Mindy, what do we do in this situation? You're sandwiched in between two, larger passengers. What do you do?
I would have done exactly what she did for the comfort of everybody. Let me start out by saying nobody ever accused me of being petite. Okay, I'm not a belt extender size, but I'm not petite.
You're curvy.
My husband is a big man, and when we travel together, I don't want to sit next to him. It's uncomfortable.
Hold on, did you say your husband's a big man?
How big?
How big? Probably 350 pounds.
All right, so you're telling me that you don't even want to sit next to your husband on a flight?
No, because the first thing he does, he can't help it. He lifts the arm thing between us, and he moves over and takes part of my seat.
he's
like the size of a fester.
He's encroaching.
I love the guy. This is not the issue. The issue is planes are horrible. The seats are designed for people who weigh 98 pounds. I don't know how any man fits in the seat.
Well, the seats have also gotten narrower. The seat pitch, meaning the distance between seat to the row in front of you, that is narrowed down. It used to be on average like 34 inches, and now I think the average is 31 at this point to squeeze more seats in the airplane. Thank you, Mindy. I appreciate the call. Let me grab Matthew in Tampa. Matthew, you're on the MJ Morning Show. Hi, Matt.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, what's your take here?
Well, I've been flying for many years, and as you pointed out, seats definitely have been getting smaller. I think that...
the problem is Leon is getting larger, and the seats are getting smaller.
I think the issue really is how about she went about it, because you can definitely casually say, hey, is there an open aisle seat, or hey, is there a window seat, really without insinuating that you're trying to move because of somebody else. Had she done that smoothly and effectively, I don't think they would have, had a big issue with it.
Yeah, Matthew.
However,
Go ahead.
However, maybe they were looking for something to complain. There's a lot of news stories about larger people on airlines these days, and some of them are getting, extra compensation somewhere. It's kind of interesting.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
And Leon's getting larger.
Yes, he is. Angel's in Bartow. Angel, you're on the MJ Morning Show. Hi.
Morning, MJ. Hey, listen.
Do you like Angel or Angel?
Angel, Angel, whichever you prefer.
Angel.
You're up.
So, listen, I was that fat guy. I was that guy that always, we always flew for business. I always try to sit in the aisle seat for that exact reason. Whenever I'd see somebody come sit in the middle seat, I would always lean towards the aisle to kind of give them space.
Mm-hmm.
But I would always be that person watching them walk down the aisle, please don't sit next to me, please don't sit next to me, hoping they would sit somewhere else. And if someone sat next to me and said, hey, listen, I'm going to get another seat, I'd be like, thank you, go. Find another seat. I'm good with that. Give me more space. I was pushing 400 pounds. I'm 250 now, so I feel great. I could fit in one seat now, not two seats. But I wouldn't have said anything. If she wanted to move, she could have moved, and I would have been perfectly content with that.
Yeah, I would think that the two people that now that they have the middle seat open, you lift up the armrest, and boom, it's like you've moved into a spacious apartment all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day. Let me grab two more calls. I got to move on. Chris is in Tampa. Hey, Chris, you're on the MJ Morning Show.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris. What do you say here? What's your take on this whole situation?
I think average-sized people are becoming the minority, and you're not going to win because no matter what, they're angry at themselves or angry at whatever society does, and the airplanes are getting smaller.
The planes are getting smaller. It's just that the seats are getting smaller, really, yeah.
Seats are getting smaller, but even that, people are getting bigger because they keep eating too much.
It's true.
That's
how it happens.
Good observation, Chris. Thank you. Last call. Jim's in Newport Richie. Hey, Jim. Final say on this, on the woman that was called a fatphobic because she was in the middle seat between two large people. She asked to move, and she's been labeled the fatphobic. Your thoughts here, Jim?
I sympathize with the woman, and there's no problem in asking to be relocated. But I got a point of view on, as a former employee of a major airline for 36 years, I think back in the earlier years, the airlines had rules for shipping animals in kennels, and those rules allowed more space for animals than they do passengers.
Oh, wow.
It's true. I mean, if you shipped a dog or a cat in the kennel, the rule was that the animal had to stand up and completely turn around in the kennel. Maybe we should put passengers in kennels from now on. They'd have more room.
You know what? I've seen some of those big kennels for the big dogs they put in the forward cargo section, and I'm thinking maybe that might be a better way to travel.
It's amazing. But the thing is that the airlines, when they order these aircraft, they order them with certain configuration and certain size. And sometimes over a period of time, they modify the entire interior of those aircraft to accommodate more passengers.
Yeah, listen, I know over the years I've read plenty of stories and, I've read about airline A, B, C, whatever airline, that they essentially sometimes they can add like one or two rows to an aircraft, and that's just taking away space, and that's where your seat pitch has gone down over the years. And, Jim, you said you were with an airline for 36 years. Were you a pilot for 36 years?
No, it was operations mostly, most of my career.
Gotcha.
I worked for Delta, and fantastic career, loved it. But one of the interesting things is that I think back when we used to have to balance aircraft, the average passenger had a certain weight. Can you imagine what that's changed to today?
Oh, listen, and we had a story, I don't know, last week or 10 days or so. There was a New Zealand airline that was asking passengers to voluntarily step on a scale. They wanted to weigh 10,000 passengers. I think it's probably still going on. I don't know. But I think it was Air New Zealand, and they were trying to get some real-world weights by having passengers agree, and it wasn't mandatory, but to get the weights of passengers at the gate so they could try to put together what the new average weight of a passenger is. And, weight and balance. I've been on aircraft where they've moved people to different parts of the plane for weight and balance. There are some times that they put sandbags on aircraft in the cargo section to actually balance an aircraft. And I'll tell you right now, I have been on an airline where I had to get weighed. I have been on, like, little planes. It might have been flying from in Australia. I flew to Lizard Island years ago on my honeymoon with Michelle, and I believe on the little plane that we flew to Lizard Island that we had to step on a scale. I know. Listen, I'm going to Little Cayman. I'm flying the MAX 8 Cayman Air. I'm flying it out of Tampa in a couple of weeks. I land in Grand. I'm on the ground in Grand for an hour, and then I jump on a Dash 6, a Twin Otter, and those planes, they're very weight sensitive. They don't weigh the passengers, but they weigh all of the luggage, even my carry-on. I carry on my regulators and my dive computers. They actually weigh the carry-on bags, and they mark the weight on the little, Cayman Air little tag that they put on there. So they're very weight sensitive. Oh, I'll tell you what. I can't remember the airline, but when I flew I flew like Taka, I think. I think I flew Taka to Belize City, and then I flew from Belize City to Ambergris Key off of Belize, and they weighed me on that flight. All the passengers had to step on a scale. So, that has been done. Hey, Jim, thanks for the call, buddy.
All right, take care.
Have a great day. Yeah, Rox.
MJ, you see that video of the guy who woke up on a plane in the apartment or compartment above the overhead compartment to store luggage?
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
You didn't buy it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw that over the weekend.
Well, that's more comfy than the seats.
Yeah.
Possibly.
A guy claimed he was on some kind of weekend bender and he woke up in the
yes.
luggage bin.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
He was in Ibiza.
Come on.
In Ibiza at a bachelor party.